Welcome to Library Connection. I'm your hostess, Elaine Live Oak, and today it is my great privilege to have Lee Hall here with us. She is Program Director of a fairly new program at SAFE. It is called the Parent as Teachers, and Ms. Hall is very well known in our community because she was a former teacher at Nichols Lawson School teaching what we used to call home ec. And what's the new name?
Family and Consumer Sciences.
There you go. Anyway, she is with us today to talk about this challenge that she has taken on to help young parents learn how to be their child's first teacher. And so we welcome you today to the program. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's begin. You had a beautiful article in the newspaper recently explaining all of the details of this program, and I had heard about it when I was doing some work over at SAFE, and I find out that this is an international program. Mm-hmm. It's been around a long time. So tell us a little bit about the history of Parents as Teachers.
Okay. Parents as Teachers originated in Missouri back in 1984, 30 years ago. And now it is an international program. They have programs in a number of countries as well as most states here in the United States. Our program is funded through a maternal, infant, and early childhood home visiting grant through the Alabama Department of Children's Affairs and the Alabama Network of Family Resource Centers, which SAFE is a member of.
Right. And Margaret Morton is such a good person for finding those kind of grants and bringing them to our city, and we're grateful that she's done that. How long has SAFE actually known about this particular program?
Well, this particular program has been used at SAFE, the curriculum, for the past 12 years in one or two of our programs that we currently have. But this past year, we were a part of this grant, and we began this program in April of 2014 to really start going with it. So we are doing the whole program now.
Okay. And at SAFE, you told me that Patsy Jones is the coordinator of it. Where did you have to go to get your training to be the program director? Did you?
Well, as the state got this grant, and there are other programs in the state that have started up this year and some that have continued, they did offer training back in March here in Alabama. It was in Montgomery that most of us went to there. I ended up going to Missouri for my training.
Aha. How many then do you know such programs are in Alabama at this time?
I know that there are, I believe it's 13 programs, but most programs like ours serve more than one county. We are serving 3 counties, Clay, Talladega, and Coosa counties through our program.
How many participants do you have, or is there a cap on the number that can be in this program?
Well, there is a cap just because of the number of people any parent facilitator can serve. Right now, each of our parent facilitators are capped at 12. We hope to be able to increase that
12 families.
12 families.
And they have to visit these families how often?
They do visit the families in their home. Hopefully every other week is what we try to do.
Okay. Let me ask you probably an unusual question in that, how do you gain access to these homes? I mean, you have to recruit, obviously, the families to participate. And how do you gain their, you know, it's very awkward and sometimes even scary for families to think of this person coming into their home that they do not know. So do you have a program where you invite them in to get to know you first, or how do you gain their trust?
Okay. Once the contact is made through, maybe somebody has referred them to us, or we may have done a presentation or been at a community event, and we talk with the family and discuss what we expect that's going to happen through the program. And ideally, we do want to meet with them in their home. If they are not comfortable with that, especially right at the beginning, we're glad to meet with them in other locations, perhaps the library or a park if the weather permits, that kind of thing.
Now, I know there's criteria for these families that has to be met, and you have at least 2 requirements of them. Can you tell us some of those things that the requirements?
Okay. As a part of our grant, we do ask that a family that we enroll meet at least 2 of these requirements: that it's a pregnant woman that's under the age of 21, that there are close spaced births in the family, like they have a baby every year or 2, that there are 3 or more children in that family, that there are multiple births. We have several families we're serving that have twins, that the baby was a premature birth, low income, families that have a history of child abuse and neglect, that maybe someone in the family had substance abuse or tobacco use, military families, families with low achieving children or children with disabilities or developmental delays, and homeless.
I find that kind of unusual, the homeless one, and the whole list of reading it, because you're going for home visitation and you go. But anyway, these families, then you're going in primarily then to teach them how to be a teacher. Give us, for instance, in the program that you would take in to them, and tell us, please, exactly what you might do when you go to this home visit.
Okay. The parent facilitator will make a plan before they go so that they're prepared, and they plan based on what the needs of that particular family is.
It is individualized then.
It is.
I think that's a real important point, because this family may not be like any other family that you deal with.
And they're all different, So they make that plan and they go in and they do an activity with the family to help that parent interact with their child and, spend that time, which is so important. And it doesn't take a whole lot. One activity that I'm familiar with particularly is called mirror play, where they take a small handheld mirror in, of course that's unbreakable, because we're working with young children, and just a small cloth or something that they can cover, and then it's kind of like a peekaboo kind of thing. And to have that child see their reflection and just play with them and talk with them. And then there will be a book taken to every visit. And for this particular activity, a book with baby faces. And it may be human baby faces, it may be the baby animals like lions and tigers and things like that. And you just look at those and open that book and talk with the baby about the different things that they see there, and then hold that mirror up and they see themselves in the mirror and just interact that way.
Well, you were telling me that you leave the book sometimes for the parents, and that must be a real blessing to some families who would not have access to many books. I mean, they have the library, but they're often a little timid about coming until we...
Right, and a number of our families don't have transportation as well, so that's part of it too. If we feel like that they can use that book, we'll leave it with them.
Yeah, well that is really good from our standpoint. We think that's a wonderful, wonderful part of this program. Let's tell them then where funding for such a program comes from. We've already talked a little bit about that, but here locally, how many people are you able with the funds to engage? You have only one facilitator going into the homes at this time?
Well, currently with our program, we have 4 facilitators on staff. We recently had the facilitator in Clay County to resign, so we're have that position open. We have 2 facilitators in Coosa County and 2 in Talladega County.
Okay, and so these ladies then each have an assignment of 12 families that they will visit every other week.
Right.
And we were talking about this earlier, and you were saying that this is a very individualized program.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that's important. We know that you have the Hippie program here in town. We're very, very familiar, having worked with Hippie myself since 1998, and know that they have a wonderful program in place. And yours is not to take place of theirs. And there are some comparisons simply because you do work with ages 3, 4, and 5, and we know that Hippie does that. That exclusively is the group that they work with. But you work with babies, right?
We actually start when the mom is pregnant. So there may not be any children in the family at the time, but she finds out that she's pregnant. We can enroll her in our program. We serve her throughout her pregnancy, and we do individualized visits at that time as well, and just help her through her pregnancy in whatever way that we can, with resources, with information. And then once the baby's born, we continue to serve, and we can serve that child until they enter kindergarten.
Isn't that wonderful? Well, and that is one of the differences. We had talked off camera a little bit about the differences between your program and Hippie. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Most folks here we've had the Hippie ladies on for several times, and they know that that's a home visitation program as well, that they actually take in the materials to teach a lesson. And they have what they call the word of the week that they're trying to teach this child to recognize, and basically to learn to read and to learn to recognize that word. And they also use books and that kind of thing. But there are some fundamental differences in your programs, obviously, because yours is very tailored to the individual, and theirs is a set curriculum they take to all the families that's involved in theirs. Is that correct?
Right.
Am I giving all of your information?
You're doing great.
Right?
You're doing great. That and the Hippie program, which I think is a fantastic program, is a 30-lesson program for each age group. One difference there with our program is that we're a continuous program. Like I said, prenatal through ending when they enter kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yes.
Well, the thing that is so good about this program, Parents as Teachers also, is when you encounter within that individual family some difficulties that they're having, SAFE being your umbrella there, you can act as a resource person.
Right. We're very fortunate to be a part of SAFE, and we have made referrals. In fact, currently we have 2 or 3 fathers that have been referred to our fatherhood program there.
That's
so
good.
Hopefully they'll choose to participate there and learn about that.
That's good, because we know that is a really worthwhile program as well. When we are talking about Hippie program also, I note that they call theirs parent educators, you call yours parent facilitators, and the people can be enrolled in both programs, correct?
Oh, yes, they can. Yes,
and there
they
is
can.
no cost whatsoever.
There's no cost for either program. I know for Parents as Teachers, we come into the home, we bring whatever supplies that are needed for those activities. And one of the things with our activities is that we hope to show the parents that it doesn't have to be costly to do fun and neat things with your children. A lot of the things we use are things you're going to find in a person's home anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, do you set it up that when you go into the home, for instance, you would say, the Smith family, you tell them, I will be there at 11 o'clock on Tuesday. I mean, do you have a set time with them then that you go so that they can plan their activities around that? Or do you just call them and say, can I come?
No. We do set up appointments with them and work with their schedule, depending. Some of them do work, so they have, we have to have primary caregiver, as we call them, which is typically the mother and the child there together to have the visit. So we work with them at whatever their schedule is within reason.
Sure,
And it's up to
absolutely.
the individual parent facilitators to do that. And of course, things change, things come up. We hope that they'll call us and let us know that they need to change an appointment or something, but we do work with them.
Right. And since this is a new program, it's difficult to know all the ins and outs. But when we return after this commercial break, we're going to talk some more with Lee Hall about parents as teachers. Please join us.
10 big years, celebrating 10 big years of smiling customers at Toyota of Sylacauga. Construction continues with fresh new inventory arriving daily, and we need to make room.
We are your Sylacauga RAV4 connection, like a brand new 2014 RAV4. 0 down, 0% financing, and $1,000 cash back.
We're your small town dealer with big time savings. So come see us and get ready to smile. Online 24/7 at toyotaofsylacauga.com.
Right Tire and Service on West Fort Williams in Sylacauga is the right place for you. We carry the right tires for your car. Goodyear, Cooper, General, Michelin, and lots more. Right Tire and Service is also your right choice when it comes to all of your automotive service needs. Whether it's an oil change, front end alignment, brake service, or air conditioner work, make the right choice the first time and stop by Right Tire and Service, Sylacauga.
In Central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in Central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
There's one pharmacy that's so much more than just a drugstore. That's Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga. From cards for all occasions, a huge selection of gifts, even great exclusive Alabama and Auburn stuff, all kinds of household needs, and a complete selection of over-the-counter meds and supplies that you would expect. We are more than just a drugstore, but with our friendly, courteous staff and all of our great extras, we ought to be your drugstore. We're Marble City Pharmacy in Ogletree Plaza.
Welcome back to Library Connections. We're talking today with Lee Hall. She is the program director of a new program just started this past year, and yet it's an old program, but it's new to our community here. It's called Parents as Teachers, and I think it's a really good title simply because your job is trying to help everybody that is a new parent learn how to be the first child's teacher, kind of thing. And you know, so as we've all laughed and said when our children were born, they don't come with any book to tell you how to do it right. And so sometimes you make some mistakes along the way, and it would have been so good to have someone come in and say, but you're doing this right, you know, just keep on doing this. And one of the things that you do when, as you told us in the early part of the show, was that you go in and you take all this material that is needed to teach a simple activity. Your goal, or you hope that the parent will continue to do that activity a time or two with the child, just so there's the bonding process. Mm-hmm. Isn't that a part of what this is all about too?
That's
is
right.
To strengthen families.
Mm-hmm.
Would you not say that was one of your mission goals?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, strengthening the family. And our lessons are actually, there are 3 different parts to them. One is the parent-child interaction, where we do take the activities in and help the parents and their children to interact with each other and to learn about each other that way. We also have a part on child development. We talk with the parent about the child's stage of development and what are the typical things that child should be doing at that time, always working with an age range. You know, there's not a date that the child starts to walk or anything like that, but to help the parent realize where that child is along the way in their development. If we, in talking with the parent and observing in the home and the child, feel that there might be some concerns, then we do make referrals and recommend to the parent that they see the child's doctor about those. We do just some basic health screenings, some vision and some hearing, and then just talking with the parent about other health-related types of things, safety.
Right.
And keeping
Nutrition,
the home safe.
would you?
Nutrition, definitely. Sleep routines, transitions, as the child might be experiencing some kinds of transitions within that home. And then we also have a part dealing with family well-being, which we really look at the whole family then and help them to set goals. It may be a goal for that child, it may be a goal for the parent, or it may be a goal for the whole family, that we help to provide some support and encouragement for them to achieve those goals.
Well, when you talk about the health screening and that kind of thing, SAFE is so good to have different, I know they help with medications and things like that, the parents, and screenings for hearing and vision. I know they have sponsored that kind of thing. Do you often find that parents don't recognize certain things within their own children? I think sometimes we're with them every day. We really don't realize that he's not talking yet, and he's 2.5 years old. He's not saying words yet like he ought to say, because we can communicate one with another. Do you run into that very much at this point?
There's been just a few things. Some is where the parent is overly concerned and they are comparing their child, or so it seems, to another child, whether it's their own child or a friend's child, and feel that their child's behind, which when you look at the developmental ages and stages, they're not.
Yeah.
But then there are some that there have been some concerns, and the parent facilitator has talked with the parent and recommended seeing the doctor.
Well, now, do you have steps in place then that you will have to measure progress in this program?
Well, there are a few ways we can measure some progress, but because it is such an individualized program, for every family there's different things, so the measurement that way is not across the board.
Do you have to do that locally and statewide since you're getting the money from the state?
There is information. It's more of an informational type of input into the database and things, and keeping track and records of visits and things like that we do. We do provide various assessments for the family to help gauge if there are any referrals that need to be done.
Do you have occasions, or will you have occasions where you will get together with others, agencies like that, to compare what you're doing? When you said there were 13 such parent as teacher organizations now in the state of Alabama, will you have an occasion to get together, or will you have to make comparisons? I know the HIPPY has an accreditation kind of thing that they have to go to, which measures them against all of the other HIPPY groups. And is your group like that? Will they be compared to?
Well, I don't know about the comparison, but we did just recently, the HIPPY as well as Parents as Teachers and some other home visiting programs attended a home visiting conference in Montgomery back in September, which was great that we got to network and talk with each other and learn some new and different things to do. So that was really great. As far as the comparison, I'm not so aware of that right now.
Well, it might be good, since you're brand new at this. Well, the program overall sounds very, very good. How do you recruit the parents themselves? I know you were off camera, you were talking about some of the occasions that, how you find these parents, and most of them are referral, but how else do you get the word out there? I know you've had the article in the newspaper and you're here with us today, but tell us some other ways that you hope. Now, your slots are full, you told me at this point, at present.
But it's very important that we do make contact with any family that is referred to us or that comes to us, and we do have a waiting list. so that when we do have somebody that leaves our program for whatever, the child may age out of the program, the family may move, the family may, for some reason, just decide that it's not what they want or need and drop out. So then from our wait list, we will work with the next family on the list. So doing that, we have flyers out all through all 3 counties in multiple places, doctor's offices, the health departments, the WIC offices, at hospitals, and we make presentations. If anyone needs a presentation done, they can just contact me and I'll put them in contact with one of our facilitators who will come and do that for them.
Well, now, if someone wants to know more about your program, how can they find out about it? Do you have flyers out that you say you've left information,
Right.
but do you have flyers that they could come by SAFE and pick up?
Oh yes, definitely so. Definitely so. And you can call SAFE and just ask for me, and I'll put you into contact with whoever or however to get that information you need.
Sounds good. Well, we think this is a great program. I am surprised with all the cuts at the state level, though, how programs such as this, what do they honestly feel is the true benefit of a program like this? I mean, when the state starts cutting the budget and cutting out programs and that sort of thing, and threatens to cut some of the major programs that we know about, why do you feel that this particular program has survived?
I believe because it's proven that children who receive that one-on-one with their parents early on, and they're taught and they have that interaction and develop the social and emotional skills along the way, that they're going to perform better in school. Mm-hmm. And because of that, they'll be good citizens as they grow and develop throughout their lives.
And don't you think, too, that with the parent being the teacher, that when education time finally comes and that child gets in kindergarten all the rest of the way through, don't you think the parent will have a little bit more of interest?
Oh, certainly.
And they'll feel that the parent is backing me all the way through school.
Yes.
I mean, we see it daily at the library, these parents coming in where the child is just beginning to learn to read. And they are, so supportive. And the child and the parent together is a real jewel to watch. Mm-hmm. It is a joy, rather, to watch. Because mom knows the limitations. They know that, boy, she's having real problem recognizing thus and so. Mm-hmm. And we watch as that parent continues, and I think it's that continuity,
right.
too. Mm-hmm. And this program and others just like it are great for that. And I really applaud the legislatures for understanding that this kind of program works. It works to help a parent understand, I'm responsible for helping this child, my child, to succeed. And I thank you for coming by. I thank you so very much for involving this community in such a program, and I wish you success with it. I hope that it continues for many, many years. And I don't know, I'm just glad to hear any time that they, something like this is brought to our community to help strengthen it, to make it better. And I think our kids will be better in the long run because the scores in school will show the difference, and that's so important. But we thank you for coming, and we thank you for watching Library Connections today.